Hello and welcome to my channel English Literature. If you're new to the channel, please like, share and subscribe and help the channel grow. In this lecture today, I'm going to talk about sign, signifier and signified. Friend, when we talk about sign, it is evident that we refer to semiology, and semiology is what Saussure says as the object of study in structuralism. So semiology means the study of signs such as words, numbers, alphabets, gestures, symbols, objects, everything that we can see around us or we can hear or we can touch. These are the things that we study in semiology. Saussure says that we need an approach to study these things. An approach is a perspective or a way of dealing with something. An approach lays down a set of principles to study any subject, and that approach to study semiology or science in language is structuralism. So what is structuralism? It is an approach to study language or the nature and function of language. What things are in language, how to study them, how they operate, etc., etc. So it was pioneered by Swiss linguist named Ferdinand de Saussure. He is also called the father of modern linguistics. Next, structuralism says that language that we use for communication is a dynamic system of interconnected units. Remember these two terms, okay? Dynamic and interconnected. So when he says language is dynamic, means it is not static, it is flexible, and that it has a structure. So let's see what does he mean by that. So when Saussure says language is a dynamic system and a structure, he is making that statement based on the nature and function of these three things: sign, signifier, and signified. These three are the interconnected units of language. Friends, see, when we think about language, just keeping aside grammar and its rules and all for a second, we end up only with signs. I'll explain how. So because firstly, objects are independent things, okay? The real objects, they are independent things. They will exist even if we don't have any language. So the process goes the other way around. We have developed a language in order to identify objects and phenomena. So language is a mental activity because first of all, we think of the objects in our minds. And language therefore only have signs, that is mental images of objects. Okay, even the words are graphical or acoustic images of language, because at first human beings started to think, then they started to speak, then they developed the act of writing or giving graphic and acoustic representation to mental images or signs. Remember the languages of our forefathers found in cave drawings, those apes? Yeah, those. So therefore, in language, we have many graphic representation of signs such as words, symbols, geometric shapes, gestures, etc. These all refer to signs. Okay, so let's talk about sign, signifier, and signified in detail. Okay, then we'll move to talk about the relation between them and how they create meaning. So let's continue. So what is a sign? A sign is a mental image that we have about any object or thing. For example, cat, dog, mountain, tree, waterfall, money, etc., etc. Okay, these are some examples of signs as you can see in these images. So when you see these signs, your mind forms a mental image. For instance, if I show you this image, this, so what comes to your mind? So what comes to your mind is a mental image, this, right? Okay, then if I show you this image, the same idea comes to your mind, right? So both of them are graphic images, right? But the fact that both these images give you the same idea means there is an idea in your mind about the real object, which you manifest by these two graphic images, these two, right? Similarly, this will happen with any picture or word that I show you. Therefore, that idea in your mind about an object is called the sign. So sign is a mental image. Then what is a signifier? Remember the graphic images that represents the sign, such as the word, the image, even the sound. When I say cat, cat. Okay, so these images and sounds which symbolize a mental image, that is a sign, are called as signifiers. For example, the signifier of the sign cat are the word cat the image this cat, and the sound cat. Therefore, a signifier is a sound image. Similarly, the signifier of a mouse is the word mouse and the image mouse and the sound mouse, and so on for every sign. Okay, now we know a sign and a signifier. So moving ahead, what is a signified? What could it be? What more is there to sign? Think. What more is there to a sign? So before going to signified, let's do a brief recap about the previous two. Okay. So a sign is an idea of any physical object or phenomena. The graphic and acoustic representation of that idea is the signifier. Then only one thing is left. That is, since a sign is a mental image of any physical object or phenomenon, say for example of a cat, then what is a cat? This here, what is it? Is it just cat? Nothing more to it? If it is just cat, I must ask, what is a cat? So the answer will be a cat is a furry and fluffy animal. It is smart, it has tiger-like stripes, it is cute, it has 2 eyes, 4 legs, a tail, etc. etc. So what are all these? All these are characteristics of a cat, and they are all combined to make one mental image, that is sign of a cat. So in other words, these characteristics of a cat makes up the concept of a cat, and this concept is called signified. It means that the concept or the general idea about the characteristics of any sign in our mind is the signified. So the characteristics of a cat which combine together to make a cat is the signified. Therefore, a signified is the concept or idea about the properties and characteristics of any object or phenomenon. Similarly, the signified of the sign rain is infinite number of water droplets falling from clouds. So now we know what is a sign, signifier, and signified. So let's do a brief recap once more. The sign is an idea. Example, cat, rain. Signifier is the graphic and acoustic representation, the words, sounds, and images. Signified is the concept that is associated with the sign. For example, the concept of cat, the concept of rain, etc. etc. Therefore, if the sign is an idea, the signifier is the graphic and acoustic manifestation of the sound, and the signified is the concept or idea associated with the sign, then it is evident that they must have a relation, right? So Saussure outlines the relation as this. That is, the sign equals to signifier plus signified, meaning that the sign is composed by combining together the signifier and the signified. So if we replace it with an example, then it will look like this. That is, the cat sign equals to the cat sound image plus the concept of a cat. That means it is flurry fluffy animal. So friends, now we know how the signifier and the signified creates the sign. That is, when the sound image is associated with the concept, we get a sign. Okay. So moving ahead, when I say the word cat, what comes to your mind is this image of a cat, right? Similarly, when I say dog, does the mental image of a mouse come to your mind? No, right? Obviously, the mental image of a dog comes to the mind. This one, right? So, this relation between the word, sound, image, and the concept associated with it, is there a logical connection between the two? I mean, if I show you the word cat, okay, cat, you associate this image to the image of this cat, right? When I show you this image, cat, you associate this word to it. Similarly, if I show you the word dog, you associate this image dog to it, right? And if I reverse the process and show you this image, that is dog, you will associate it with the word dog. This one. So the relation is that one corresponds to the other, right? Therefore, when I show you this image, mouse, you associate this word to it, mouse. And if I reverse the process and show you this word, mouse, this image should come to your mind, right? No? Or should it be this one? Or is it that both the images would pop up? So what happened? Why did the word mouse betray this image of a rodent? It happened because Saussure says that the relation between the signifier and the signified is arbitrary or illogical. Remember, Saussure said language is dynamic, right? So there is no inherent logic that the word mouse should only mean this idea of a rodent. So it can also mean the idea of this one. Okay? Shosho says that the relation is arbitrary between the sound image, that is the signifier, and the concept, that is the signified. So does it mean that this word cat, just because the signifier and signified are arbitrarily related, can mean anything? For example, a tree, house, building, etc., etc. The answer is no. A sound image such as this word cat gets its meaning as this idea, as the idea cat, that is a furry, fluffy, cute pet, or is associated with this idea, that is the image of a cat, is because it is mutually accepted by the society. And the sound images, words, are so frequently repeated during communication that the meaning of object gets stuck with the words. Okay, that means we create meaning like that by repetition and mutual acceptance. Since the relationship between the signifier, which is the word, and the signifier, the concept, is arbitrary, so Saussure says that we create meaning of any particular sign by way of differentiation. That means by way of difference. That is where we are going to study difference. That means by differing one sign from others within the same language system. Okay? That should be within the same language system. So Saussure states that in language we assign meaning to a sign by its graphic and acoustic difference in relation to other signs. For instance, the written word tree, okay, and its sound tree is both graphically and acoustically, or in sound, different from the word house and its sound house, right? Thus, he says, by differentiating one sign from other, we create meaning. That is, tree is a tree because it is not a house, right? A house is a house because it is not a tree. Okay, so lastly, Saussure talks about two methods of studying language. First is synchronic. So synchronic is the approach of studying language but at a certain moment in time, usually in its present moment. Okay, and second is diachronic. So diachronic is the approach of studying language by taking into account its history. I mean, everything that has been can be associated with the language. That means its history, how it evolved from history at different stages, and so on. So, okay, so that is all about this video. Hope you like it, and if you like the video, please like, share, and subscribe.